the halfway point of the GT America powered by AWS season, George Kurtz has taken control of the SRO 3 Championship, winning his third straight race yesterday in race 1 here at Watkins Glen International. The GT4 title race, meanwhile, remains wide open heading into the second race of the weekend here at one of the premier road racing venues in North America. Hello everyone, welcome to the Finger Lakes region of New York. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and Amanda Busick will be reporting from the pit lane. Race 2 of the weekend coming your way for GT America, powered by AWS. Single driver sprint racing with a mixture of GT3 and GT4 machines. Yesterday's race 1 was a good one, and it was dominated by this man, George Kurtz.
Yeah, he came under pressure at the end, but certainly withstood that challenge and scored his fourth win of the season, extended that championship lead. So, veteran winning in SRO 3, but in GT4 on debut. What a day for Seth Lucas.
Seth Lucas, like you said, making his debut in this championship. Started the season in Pirelli GT4 America, but made the switch ahead of this weekend. Dominated the race, inherited the pole after a penalty following qualifying for Marco Radicic, but he started up front, he kept it up front, and he withstood a great deal of pressure for a young man with limited racing experience.
Just did an awesome job, and he's on the front row again today with the fastest lap here. Yesterday he'll start from the pole position. Let's see if he can repeat and sweep the weekend.
Let's talk about this track, Calvin. 11 turns, 3.37 miles in length. It is historic, it is challenging. It's one that everyone looks forward to when it's on the calendar.
It's just wonderful. It's majestic. I mean, just such an iconic venue, so much history here. But when you drive this circuit, it takes massive commitment because of the amount of grip that the corners provide. You really have to commit around here, and that will be rewarded with lap time.
Starting grid for race 2 of the weekend. George Kurtz on pole. He is the SRO 3 points leader. Jason Harward will start alongside. Jeff Burton was due to start in the 3rd position, but accidents yesterday in GT America make that GT World Challenge America qualifying, and that race ultimately left him without a chassis to compete with here today, so he will not take the start. Jason Daskalos moves to 3rd. PJ Hyatt, who podiumed on debut yesterday, he will start in the 3rd row alongside Mirko Schultes and Justin Wetherill at the back of the SRO 3 grid. Both of those drivers had an issue early in the race yesterday. To the GT4 grid, Seth Lucas on pole, winning on debut yesterday. He'll have Ross Schwest alongside, Todd Coleman and Elias Sabo in row number 8, etc., etc. As we're about to go to the green flag here, you saw the rest of the grid on the screen. Here we go. George Kurtz about to get started with Jason Harward alongside, and Jason Daskalos looked like he was trying to get that jump from the 2nd row, ultimately has to back out of it. Kurtz, though, takes that green flag and leads the field into turn 1.
PJ Hyatt there, a nice start, but gets a little bit more conservative into the brake zone. Allows Daskalos to get that move done.
Here's the GT4 start. Split start here, and there goes Lucas, gets a great jump, so does Jason Bell. The blue and white Aston moving to the outside, thought about making it 3 wide, but then thought better of it. He's got Radicic to his inside. It's Lucas leading away ahead of Ross Schwest.
Elias Sabo doing a nice job there, swinging around the outside of Todd Coleman to move that Aston Martin into P3.
3 wide, further back, and a little bit of contact there. Uretsky, Adelson, and Brian Putt somehow kept it together.
Wow, that was super tight there. Now Gray Newell coming off a Sprint X victory here yesterday with Ian James trying to find his way and get in line.
That was a close moment, and the high-speed S is going up the hill, leading here to the inner loop, or the bus stop at Watkins Glen. Now the outer loop, which leads to the boot section of this racetrack. That's turn 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Uretsky there, looks like he got some pace, rolling big speed there through as you head down the chute into the boot section. Wonderful area of the racetrack, very demanding, lots of elevation change there. Swing out of here's an uphill braking zone into turn 7. Seth Lucas doing a nice job here from that pole position. Ross Schwest is keeping him close, though. He gets a big run there on the parallel. He looks to the inside.
Ross Schwest, this team debuted here last year, and Schwest has been very strong at this track. He got a decent run, but Lucas is able to fend him off for the moment. So Lucas holds on to the point. Andy Lee Elias Sabo rather, looking strong in the 3rd spot, and the fight for 4th is a fierce one.
Look at this, Todd Coleman defending there. Jason Bell looking to get through. Jason had a massive run yesterday from 12th on the grid all the way up to a podium.
Uretsky shoved a little bit wide by Putt. That will drop him back a spot. And now Jose De Silva going on the attack. This is Radisik working on Bell. 2 championship contenders along with Adelson in the Porsche right behind. Looking to make it 3 wide. That is a bold move. He has to back out of it.
Yeah, it was bold. I'm not sure it was a wise one. As you can see, there's nowhere to go with that. He's going to tip Jason Bell around at high speed. Had to give it up, climb all over the curb, lose all of the speed coming off the corner, and just gets dumped down a few positions.
That cost him a great deal of momentum. That allowed Putt by, and it looks like it was a challenge there just behind as well, with De Silva looking to make the pass too. A wild opening lap. Kurtz at the very front of this field does lead by 1 second over Jason Harward. Jason Daskalos runs in third in the GT4 field. Lucas right there sweeping through ahead of Ross Schwest. And Elias Sabo running very well this weekend, putting some pressure on for the second spot.
Radisik finally gets that move done on Jason Bell. It's quite a battle there for the last half a lap. So let's see if he can move to the front. Had the fastest car in qualifying here this weekend. Lost that due to being a little bit underweight. Made a massive drive through the field, but then got a penalty for getting into Uretsky mid-race.
It was a frustrating day for the winner of the season opener on the streets of St. Petersburg, Marco Radisik. He has not podiumed since then, but appears to have the pace to challenge for a podium here today.
There's a lot of dicing here. It's pretty edgy right now. Everyone's just managing to keep it clean, but the grip will allow you to run multiple lines around this circuit. The tires should be really fresh and giving good grip. But look at this. Schwest has now got on the back of Lucas once again.
Schwest from Louisiana has slotted into this car very, very well under the tutelage of Aaron Povolato, team manager and co-driver for Schwest Povolato Racing. And he is starting to come on as the season reaches the midway point.
Elias Sabo, he is really starting to show that he has got a ton more confidence at this stage of the year. Loves what that car has given him in terms of the balance. Been working really hard with Andy Lee. Stephen Costello is the team manager there at Flying Lizard Motorsports. And he said, Elias is really impressing me right now, and he's keeping it tight here on these front 2.
Had some bad luck yesterday. Despite showing good pace, didn't get the result to go with it. Look how strong the Supra is down the pit straight. He's able to pull this gap, but inevitably when we get to the middle portion of the lap, it seems like the Astons close back in.
Yeah, I'll try and pay a bit more attention to that, where he is suddenly losing the gap that he's building. Up front, though, George Kurtz leads. Harwood is keeping the pressure on. Gave him a real hard time yesterday, and then had that spin late in the race coming out of this corner right here. Got a little bit high, looped it around, and the day went south from there. How
about the pace from PJ Hyatt? His first race at this level, his first laps on track came yesterday in qualifying after mechanical issues cost them all of the practice sessions on Friday, and he is running third. In fact, he just made a pass of Daskalos on that previous lap to get up into the podium contention.
He just went 3 seconds quicker than he went yesterday. Yesterday was his first day on this race circuit, just learning, kept his nose clean. Brilliant performance.
It has been. Strong debut from PJ Hyatt and the Team Hardpoint operation. Just over 5 minutes gone. Let's check in with the third member of the broadcast team, Amanda Busick.
Well, I think that celebration dinner is at the famous Seneca Lodge here in town, and that is exactly what Seth Lucas did last night. Got himself a big steak for that celebration. I talked to him this morning. While the pole position yesterday was a surprise to him, he was very happy that he started from that top position today on an earned fastest lap yesterday. Talked to him about, well, where would you go for your second win here in Watkins Glen? And, well, back to Seneca Lodge, of course.
That's the place to go, right? If you're a racing fan, such history, you can see it all over the walls at Seneca Lodge, and many, many racers have celebrated their wins at that esteemed venue over the years.
Yeah, it's a really cool spot to visit. If you're here, put it on your bucket list. But up front, Seth Lucas is really kind of controlling this race. Schwest got close a couple of times, but now he's kind of stretched that margin a little bit deeper.
Now keep in mind, 40 minutes, no pit stops here in GT America, powered by AWS. These drivers, they need to make these tires last, and we saw throughout the day yesterday, this is an abrasive circuit, it's a high-load circuit, and managing the tires to keep them under you, that's going to be crucial in all of our races today.
It is. Sabo's got a nice run here. He's not quite close enough, I feel, to make a move. He does drift to the inside. I think Schwest is just going to cut that off. So he got pace there. He may have a little bit more lap time than Schwest has at the moment, and that may allow him to chase after Lucas, but he's got to clear Schwest first.
Todd Coleman in his return to the championship. First time we've seen him in that car since the season opener at Sonoma. He runs in fourth, and he's got a lot of company. Radisik, Bell, Putt, Adelson, De Silva, Uretsky, all right there along with Rob Holland.
Yeah, that is a great group of drivers there. A lot of talent, a lot of speed. You can see Radisik there has got his head down. He wants to get back to the front. He wants at least a podium here this weekend, having been the fastest qualifier.
Oh, he's got to run too. Is he going to be close enough to pull out and try and make the pass into 8? He does take a peek, but falls back in line. Coleman, Ferrari Challenge veteran, making a move into GT4 racing, holds onto that spot for the moment, but here comes Radisik. He's going to have to go the long way around.
Yeah, Coleman knows that there's an opportunity there for someone to dive underneath him, so he's compromising his line a little bit. That gives Radisik a better run there coming off of turn 8, but nowhere to go with it at this stage.
Oh, that's a spin for De Silva. Looks like he still has power, and there is a scuff on the right front. But it doesn't appear that there's too much bodywork damage. Maybe something with the suspension, though. I don't think Jose liked what he felt.
Yeah, something amiss with the steering at this point. So there's a big gaggle of cars there heading up into that brake zone. I assume he got together with someone.
Had a nice top 10 run going, but appears to be done for the day. Tough break for Jose De Silva. Here's Coleman trying to fend off Marco Radisik once again. Radisik has a lot of experience at the GT4 level. He took a couple of years away, but he came back in a big way in St. Petersburg, and he's looking for the 4th spot here.
He's looking for a way through, but Coleman's doing a great job of defensive driving there, just placing that car exactly in the right position on the circuit. So to make that job a little bit harder for Radisik. Look pretty evenly matched up the straightaway there. BMWs are renowned at this track for having that top line speed, but seems like the Supra is equally matched, and this battle for P2 is not going away.
No, it is not. Seth Lucas is going away, however. He continues to extend that lead. It's up over 2.5 seconds now over Ross Schwest. But Schwest has done a great job managing the pressure from behind and not letting Elias Sabo by.
Sabo gets wide on occasion. I think he's just got to really focus, keep hitting his marks. No, don't make those little mental errors. Keep it together. He's got the pace, he's got the confidence in the car, but just really tidy things up a little bit and keep the pressure on Schwest here.
How about this? On the last lap, who had the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race? The newcomer, PJ Hyatt, just ran a 48.2. That's half a second quicker than what we saw from George Kurtz.
That is amazing. So Kurtz continues to lead, but Hyatt, for example, is only 3 seconds back. There's a battle on there for sure for that win today.
That will be fascinating to watch. PJ, a quick study. We heard from his driver coach and co-driver in Fanatec GT, Gunnar Jeanette, earlier the weekend, and he said, at a track he knows well, he can match my lap times or even exceed them. That's Adelson coming to the pit lane. That is a surprise. I wonder if there's a problem.
Let's see how that one develops. He's on pit lane. Don't see any penalties being posted. He was in the mix there when we saw De Silva go around, so I'm not sure if there's been something. See if he drives through or hits his pit box.
Looks like he is headed to the attention of the Premier Racing team. See what they do. Moment, just looking the car over. Could this be?
Yeah, I think their day is done. There's no urgency there whatsoever.
Disappointment for the winner of the first race of the weekend at VIR last month. Adam Adelson came into the weekend 40 points out of the GT4 championship lead. This will be costly in his championship bid in what is a wide-open GT4 championship this year.
Kurtz continues to lead here in the CrowdStrike entry, but Howard there, a little twitchy under brake, and he's starting to push again, just like we saw yesterday. Gets to the mid part of this race, you can see Kurtz in his sights. Starts to dig a little bit deeper.
And Jason's been closing in over the last few laps. The lead was up over 2 seconds at one point. Now it's barely over 1 second. Not sure if George Kurtz is simply managing this race or if perhaps there is some extra pace here today in the Zalus car.
Zalus team has been busy this weekend. Jeff Burton's been in the wars a little bit, had some chassis damage to both his cars, so we will not see action here today. Had to do a gearbox change on this car, so they keep digging deep, and it'd be nice for Howard to reward them with at least a podium, and maybe he can get around George Kurtz. But Kurtz has got that confidence factor going as well. Big momentum with his season. Continues to excel with this new team with Riley Motorsports.
It's been a great pairing, hasn't it? And the relationship goes back a couple of years. George has run with the Riley team in prototype racing at some of the endurance races in recent years, and then carrying that relationship over to GT3 racing, where the Riley team does have a lot of experience running this Mercedes-AMG chassis.
Yeah, they're a top-notch group, and I think what they like, talking to Colin and George, is that the car's a bit more consistent. It's got pace, but it stays with them. It's not like a new adventure every single weekend, which they were fighting a bit in seasons past.
Back to the pits now, and Amanda.
Well, PJ Hyatt is currently sitting in a podium position and has that purple around that number because he took that fastest lap, as you guys were talking about, joined by Gunnar Jeanette, his driving coach. And Gunnar, you've said that you've been impressed with PJ. What about his driving style impresses you?
I mean, not just his driving style, but his overall drive for improvement and doing well in this. I've never seen or worked with anybody before that holds themselves to such a high standard. This was kind of a big jump for us coming here this weekend and doing both the GT America and the World Challenge race. And then the first day we ran into some wiring harness issues, and we literally didn't get any track time. So his first laps here at Watkins Glen ever were in qualifying, and we lucked into a podium yesterday, and right now we're more en route for earning a podium, but he's been doing a great job.
Well done on a weekend through adversity.
Yeah, thanks. It has been exactly that, and this program only came together, what, 10, 11 days ago, basically, to get this car on track, and it just came from a chance conversation.
Yeah, I think it was last Monday, in fact, that Rob Ferrier, who owns Hardpoint Racing, was in discussion with Gunnar Jeanette about some spares package that they had available for this Porsche, and they got chatting a bit more and said, we might have common ground here. Obviously, Gunnar and PJ were looking to compete here this weekend. Rob had his team available. They transferred the car up to his shop quickly and got the car out here. Obviously had that drama on Friday where the car refused to run with a wiring harness issue, got a new engine fitted, or a replacement engine. I don't think it was a fresh one, but a replacement engine fitted. And then they started from ground zero yesterday morning, and what progress they've made.
No kidding, really impressive stuff. Got a lot of seat time yesterday across 2 different championships. And PJ Hyatt showing flashes of what Gunnar Jeanette was telling us about earlier in the weekend. 25 minutes to go, and Jason Harward has run down George Kurtz. Kurtz answered on that previous lap. The gap had come down to just 2/10 of a second at the line on the last lap, as Uretsky has had a spin, and it looks like Rob Holland might have been involved as well back in the back half of the top 10 of the GT4 field. Looks like everyone will be able to continue on. But Kurtz then on that previous lap was able to pull the gap out close to a second once again. That's an interesting moment here for PJ Hyatt, possibly dealing with out-of-class traffic for one of the first times in his young career.
Look at this, George has been stymied a little bit, but then that is repaid with Howard there, so probably no advantage to either driver here in dealing with this traffic. But Kurt's last lap was his best of the day, so he's certainly got a little bit more to work with. It seems like the Pirelli P0s are really performing brilliantly towards the latter half of the stints here in terms of the lap time keeps coming, so the fuel load burns away a little bit. Perfect conditions here this morning, low 70s. It felt quite crisp when we walked out of the hotel this morning, Ryan. Beautiful day.
Stark contrast from yesterday where it was blazing hot at Watkins Glen. Some of the teams telling us cockpit temperatures were up over 110 degrees in various cars throughout the paddock. This is going to be an interesting challenge. We didn't see much of this yesterday because we did have some full course yellow periods, but now with this mixed class racing, how these drivers manage traffic, that could be crucial in this race.
Yeah, that's what I love about multi-class racing. It creates a little curveball, and how you deal with that is really part of the puzzle. You can see Howard now has got right back on the tail of George Kurtz. He's gonna have to hit his marks, keep his focus, but he's in a good space right now, George is, with his driving.
Definitely so. 3 straight wins in GT America powered by AWS. They've had some success on the Fanatec GT side as well, he and Colin Brown, but right now he's getting all he can handle from that brightly colored Lamborghini. Jason Harward closing in the approach to the inner loop.
Just got to manage this. Don't run up on that GT4 traffic. Just time it so you clear him without being in a position where you're losing momentum. I think that's what George is doing right now. That was nice. Controlled that beautifully, and now Howard's got stymied a little bit. He's got to go around the long way. That's tough right into this corner. Turning in is critical here. Very easy to lose the rear end as you come in there on the brakes.
It did cost him a little bit, but now some clear track to work with for both of the front runners. Approaching the halfway mark in this 40-minute affair. George Kurtz looking for win number 5 on the season and 4 in a row. Jason Harward got his first win earlier in the year. He'd love to repeat that feat and stand atop the podium once again.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job, Jason is. Looks like he's got that car beautifully balanced. Say Lou's team have done a wonderful job this weekend in getting that car dialed in. He's got the pace, he just needs to keep it together. He just went a little bit too hard there yesterday. Lost the rear end coming out of turn 7. And that will have gotten his head a little bit last night in terms of, I've got to keep it a little bit cleaner today. See George there flashing his lights. This is an opportunity for Jason if he can time it coming off this final corner.
He's got a nice run. They're working past the lap car, the GT4 car of Gray Newell, who's having a decent run in the 8th spot. Winner yesterday in Pirelli GT4 America. And they'll run up now through the S's on Jason Bell. Harward's got a run. Does he have anywhere to go with it?
He got through there a little bit more efficiently. I think George compromised his turn-in point a little bit. Didn't roll the speed through turn 1 like you normally do. Threading the needle up through the S's. It looks a lot wider than it is when you're driving the car through there, trust me.
George is feeling that pressure. Jumps to the inside to break the slipstream. Harward's not close enough to pounce this time, but putting together a great run so far. Won race 2 at Sonoma earlier this season. Has 3 podiums on the year, Jason Harward. Looking for that second win, and he is close.
George is doing a nice job, though, by managing this. The key is when you get up to this traffic, don't just go right up to them and let them control your speed through the corner. Bit of a chess match at high speed, of course.
Watching these two work through the traffic. Harward close once again. He's closing in on the CrowdStrike Mercedes. Kurtz ducks to the inside, flashes those headlights. He wants to make sure Todd Coleman knows he's coming through. Heavy on the brakes in the heel of the boot. Both of them able to get through the traffic relatively unhindered.
Been a clean here. GT4 traffic's doing a nice job as well. George looked like he's struggling there to get that front end turned in a little bit. Was working his hands hard there to get the car tucked in. Looks like Jason's rolling a bit more speed. I think he's got pace right now over George, potentially.
Yeah, he's just got to time it right. He's got to find the place to make use of that pace advantage, and he might be here. Great run out of 11. Kurtz to the inside. Harward, though, in that slipstream now will go late on the brakes to the outside. You see the car squirm under the brakes.
Watch this.
Trying
Here
to
he
cross
goes.
him over.
Beautiful. Timed
Jason.
that to perfection.
Jason Harward at the halfway point has snagged the lead away from George Kurtz. SRO Motorsports and Lamborghini to the front.
That was brilliantly done.
PJ Hyatt has spun. That's exiting turn 11. Did he hit anything becomes the question. Right now facing the wrong way. And can he get that restarted? Meanwhile, very front of the field again. And it looks like Harward is being held up here by lap traffic once again. Nowhere to go to get around Marco Radicic. Here comes Kurtz. Can he use Radicic as a pick?
Well, the roles are reversed, so Jason Harward has not had this experience of leading a race like that, controlling it in traffic like George has before, so now he's got to really focus. Bit of a gap now in traffic to work with, though.
Harward feeling that pressure. Now, though, he should have some clear track to work with, as Radicic was 4 seconds behind the third-place car in GT4. Marco's having a good day running in the 4th spot. Can Harward use this clear track to build a gap, or can George Kurtz take that spot back? He looks to the outside.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. He's going to heat the pressure right here on Jason. Don't let him scamper away. Keep the heat on right now, George. Will he look to the inside? No. Tucks back in underneath that Lamborghini rear bumper.
Jason Harward hurried and harried by George Kurtz with 18 minutes to go, but it does look like he's starting to leg out that advantage now that he's through and in clear track.
Key is going to be Jason Harwood keeping his head. You can see that car in a really sketchy place there on the exit of turn 11. That's high speed there. George looks like he's back way out of it, like he's anticipating a yellow potentially.
While this sorts itself out, let's go to pit lane for an update on Jason Harward with Amanda.
We've been by the Zalus team as that overtake took place, and you gotta love watching the team celebrate all the hard work that goes into it. Last night they actually changed out the brake calipers and rotors in the rear of that Lambo. Ty Isaac was telling me they've been struggling with trap speed all season long, and for some reason whatever they did last night seems to be working. You'll remember yesterday though, he told us that Jason likes to chase the bunny, and as you guys pointed out, he is now in this position that he doesn't find himself in often, but we'll see if Jason can set a marker for himself and keep this lead over George Kurtz.
Yeah, he's the rabbit now, and George Kurtz is doing the chasing. They work their way now past the leader in GT4, Seth Lucas, who has probably not dealt with this a whole lot in his career. The races he's done in SRO have all been single GT4 classes. So with the GT3 field coming through, did a nice job yielding to the leaders, and now we do go full course yellow, presumably for the stranded car of PJ Hyatt.
Yeah, that's a high-speed corner there. We assume we were under local yellow at least at that point in the race as the leaders came through there. Not sure if there was traffic involved, induced this spin for PJ Hyatt. Been doing such a brilliant job here this morning. Not sure if he got to the wall or not. This is just where he ended up after a spin. And certainly the race officials and stewards will be in communication with the team, with Hardpoint, trying to identify if he can get that car fired up. We obviously want to stay green if we can, but that is in such a high-speed sector of the racetrack. To keep him there is not a good idea. So we arrest the speed, arrest the pulse for a little bit for Jason Harwood. This will be good for him. He should have clean air when we go back to green flag racing, hopefully, and not have to deal with that traffic. I felt that that was going to be the biggest factor today in terms of determining the win, was Jason dealing with the traffic, keeping a cool head and timing it just like George had been doing through the middle part of this race. Looks clean on this right side as well, Ryan.
Well, that's good news because they are going to run that car again today in the Fanatec GT race a little bit later on, the 90-minute two-driver format. And that's always the risk when you use the same chassis in multiple series. A mistake in one race can have major implications across multiple championships. We've seen that happen a few times this year, so hopefully he did escape any significant damage. Prior to that spin, it was a remarkable start to the race for PJ Hyatt. Still does have the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, by the way.
Yeah, 3 tenths up on Kurtz and a couple of tenths up on Harwood. 148.2 is his fast lap of the day. Obviously down a lap now with the car stranded on the circuit.
To put it into context, we heard Gunnar Jeanette say it. I think it's worth repeating. He had never been to this track before yesterday in qualifying, and in the span of one day, 2 races plus the qualifying sessions, he has found the pace of established GT3 drivers like George Kurtz and Jason Harward, Jason Daskalos.
Amazing. Yeah, truly, truly amazing. When I was looking at the times there and saw him hanging with the leaders, as I looked at his fastest lap yesterday, in comparison, his fastest lap was a 152.4, and he's dropped that to a 148.2 in 24 hours.
Remarkable. Really, really impressive. And as thrilled with that as he's going to be, I suspect Gunnar Jeanette will be even happier. That's usually the nature of the driver coaches, watching their students excel.
Class split going on here with the SRO 3 cars moving to the front of the pack for this restart. So for Harwood, he's got Kurtz and company now behind him, but I think Kurtz is probably the only driver out there that will have the pace to give him a hard time. And just repeating myself here, but I think the clear air and not dealing with traffic could make Jason's task so much easier than before, having to cut through that traffic, which was immense here today.
Haven't had enough time to talk about what's been going on in GT4 with all the action at the front of the SRO3 field. but Lucas had that big lead. That now goes away. Ross Schwest was awfully strong on the initial start. Any chance he can repeat some of that? Plus, he's going to have to deal with Elias Sabo, who's been hounding him all race long, too.
Yeah, and we talked about suddenly Schwest was with Lucas again. I'm not sure if there's a concertina effect in terms of where the Supra is developing its lap time in comparison to the Aston Martin of Schwest. We'll have to have another gauge of that when we get back to green flag racing here. Sabo's doing a nice job, still sits there in P3, but you know, Radisek is going to get pretty feisty here on this restart and see some opportunity to get that BMW onto the podium.
Continuing behind the safety car, let's learn more about the situation for Flying Lizard Motorsports and Elias Sabo.
I'm with team owner Darren Law, who will be calling this back to green for Elias Sabo. His coach Andy Lee is in turn 1. And Darren, the guys were just talking about how well Elias has done today. What has stood out to you?
Actually, Elias has done an amazing job since the beginning of the year. He's been on a real steep learning curve. He's gotten a lot faster over the season, and his racecraft is really good. So we've had podiums in GT4, and we're hoping for a podium here in GT America.
When you look at this restart, I know Andy will probably be in his ear about it, but what recommendations would you give to Elias here at Watkins Glen?
Well, for me at least, I mean, I'm just calling the green, but we give him reminders. You know, there's rules for the restarts on when you can pass, where the acceleration zone is. So I call the green, and then we hand it over to the coach and let him talk him around the rest of the track.
Thank you, Darren.
You bet.
It's a great brain trust on that box for Elias Sabo. Darren Law, of course, so much experience driving himself in addition to his team manager role. And I saw over his shoulder Owen Hayes, who has a wealth of knowledge and experience as well. Longtime Porsche employee, has been doing some work on his own in recent years. It's another good asset to have at your disposal.
Yeah, one of the sharpest engineering brains on our pit lane, so have Owen in your pit box is certainly an asset.
Not going to be much time left when this race resumes. We're down to 11 minutes on the clock. A great look there at the Callaway Corvette of Mirko Schultes. Great to have that car. It's a great sounding car, great looking car.
Could be a great little battle there for that final podium spot. Looking at fastest lap, so Daskalo sits P3 from Schultes and Weatherall, but all three of those drivers have run lap times within 3 or 4 tenths of one another, so that could be a good little shootout there in these final few laps.
And as ever, it's shaping up to be a battle royale in GT4. Seth Lucas is going to have to earn this one. The young man leading the class right now. Not a ton of experience to draw upon, but this weekend he has answered every challenge that has been thrown his way with aplomb. It's been impressive to watch his emergence.
With aplomb, I like that.
You do?
His teammate, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Man, that was a better pun than I realized. Matt Plum, of course, the co-driver and driver coach. He was the co-driver when they were running in Pirelli GT4 America. And now continuing in that coaching role, helping to nurture the promising young talent that Seth Lucas appears to be. And again, this is a cool story too with this team, the Hattori Motorsports team. Shiggy Hattori, longtime open wheel racer in IndyCar, the IRL, and in kart. 2-time Indy 500 starter who has had a lot of success running programs in NASCAR on behalf of Toyota. Won the Drivers' Championship in the NASCAR Truck Series in 2018 with Brett Moffitt. And they've run at the front regularly in both the Truck Series and in the Xfinity Series, but now branching out into sports car racing. And what Toyota has done supporting the Toyota GR Supra GT4, the contingencies that are in place to incentivize good performance, it's really helped the grid grow. You see GT4s racing all over the place in North America as well as overseas too. It's become a very popular platform.
Looking at the track now, looks like there's some oil dried down there where PJ's car was stationary, so I wonder if he had a technical issue or some fluid was down from his race car. We assumed it was a spin. I wonder if there was a technical issue with the car that created the spin and then there was some fluid escape from the car after that. But Hopefully we can get back, get a little bit of green flag racing here before we run out of time.
I do think we will. Looks like the lights are off on the safety car. We're running pace car laps at just under 3.5 minutes, so that should leave us with 5 minutes or so.
It was about a 3-lap shootout.
Report is that the cleanup is complete, so that does confirm my supposition that racing is set to resume the next time by. Jason Harwood looking for win number 2. George Kurtz trying to extend that winning streak to 4 and make it 5 wins in total on the season. Jason Daskalos has shown strength at various times this season. Good to see that car repaired. Remember the damage he sustained early in the race yesterday. Lost a headlight and some of the front fascia on that car, but didn't seem to slow him down too much.
He had a quick chat with Jason on Friday, and he said they're running a slightly different configuration with this Audi, different rear diffuser, some straight line speed, bit of a BOP change with the Audi as well. So he was coming in with slightly higher hopes, but it doesn't seem like that. It's obviously an older generation Audi, so it doesn't seem to have quite the sharp edge in terms of performance that Howard has with his Lamborghini, and certainly Kurtz with the current spec Mercedes.
Yeah, that's right. This is the previous version of the Audi GT3 platform, and that along with the Callaway Corvette get mixed in here together with some of the more modern GT3 cars in this SRO3 category, and that's why it's not called the GT3 class, but instead SRO3, as it provides a possible playground for some of these older cars and a unique balance of performance in order to bring them all together on an even playing field. And that is, those two cars, that Audi and this Callaway Corvette, are probably 2 of the oldest GT3 cars still in active competition these days. I think that is the original Callaway C7 racing chassis, if I remember this correctly. Certainly it was very early in the production run, and Mirko Schultes has given that car some good runs here this season. Safety car has accelerated away. Jason Harwood leading the field back towards the VP acceleration zone. He steps on it. George Kurtz in hot pursuit through some of that oil dry. They kick that up, but it doesn't seem to deter them at all. Good restart from Harwood. George Kurtz looking to close in.
Excellent restart by Jason there. A couple of the cars run very wide into that oil dry, and then we see Seth Lucas from the lead in GT4 once again.
He takes the green flag. We are off and running. Just under 6 minutes to go in race 2 of the weekend. Lucas trying to fend off the challenge by Ross West. Elias Sabo hot on his tail with Marko Radicic running 4th.
Yeah, Marko didn't get the best of restarts. Got a bit of ground to cover here to try and catch those Astons and look for a podium run here today.
Lucas looking to back up his win on debut in this championship from yesterday with a sweep of the weekend, but he's going to need to hold off the hard-charging Ross Schwest to do it. Sabo takes a peek on Schwest, but has to fall back in line.
Yeah, I think that was a peek and also a defensive line in case Radicic had a big bold move down the inside. Jason Bell fighting here as the championship lead, still trying to get around Brian Putt.
Oh, here comes Kurtz. He's going to take a look. Lily late on the brakes, trying to roll that speed around the outside. Can't make it stick, but can he cross over Harwood?
Tried to cross over, had to hesitate a little bit. I think that cost him that vital little bit of opportunity to get to the power, sneak into the inside, back to the outside.
Harwood getting his elbows out, as defensive as he can be for the moment. That's good enough to keep Kurtz behind, but Daskalos now enters the picture. Here he comes in that older Audi.
Yeah, George has got to be careful here. He's working Jason over hard, but watch for Jason Daskalos. He'll take the opportunity if it exists.
Daskalos hot on the heels of George Kurtz through turn 11 with just over 4 minutes remaining, just a few laps left to go. Daskalos looks like he might have a run.
George doesn't seem comfortable through turn 11 right now. You can see the gap that Jason has pulled and gives Jason Daskalos the opportunity.
Around the outside, Daskalos trying to put the power down, trying to stay alongside the Mercedes of Kurtz. Not quite going to be able to do it.
No, exceeded track limits there a little bit, tucked back in. I don't think they'd have let it stick if he had made the move by using all of that road.
But he does have a good deal of straight line speed, making that run through the S's, now down towards the inner loop once again. Kurtz not threatened enough to go defensive there. Floats a lot of speed in, drifts a little bit wide at the center of the inner loop.
Mercedes really rolls good speed over those curbs there, very compliant. Jason gets a little bit wide there through the carousel down into the chute. And this has really given Jason Harwood a great opportunity to hit his marks and take off a little bit.
He's loving what he's seeing out the rear view camera. No question about that. Jason Harwood in that brightly colored SRO Motorsports Lamborghini holds the advantage by over a second now over George Kurtz. George Kurtz and Jason Daskalos embroiled in a battle for the second spot.
Kurtz has got back into a rhythm here. He's got back in close proximity to our leader. I think turn 11 is really the key. George, I'm not sure if it's the oil dryer down there on the outside. He just feels there might not be the grip available to him, but both on the initial restart and that subsequent lap, that's where he seems to be losing a little bit of ground. Let's see what he does this time.
Oh, he's closed back in, that's for sure. That Mercedes very strong through the boot. They've exited the boot now. This is turn 10. Got to stay with at least 2 wheels on the curbing there. The leaders all do so. This is that crucial corner Calvin called out. Turn 11 onto the pit straightaway.
Yeah, he was on at that time, but look how close to the wall Jason Daskalos was.
That's where the speed is found. High commitment corner. Daskalos looking to close in. Not close enough to make a lunge this time.
White flag next time by. Basically two more laps to go for these competitors.
Jason Harwood, still very new to the GT3 game, made his debut last year, won his first race earlier this year in Sonoma, looking for win number 2 of the career.
Schultes is doing a nice job there. He's hanging with his lead pack, ready to pick up some pieces if there's any argy-bargy here in the last couple of laps.
Now we've seen it all season. Schultes just gets stronger and stronger as the races go along. And he is waiting in the wings. Kurtz got close.
Yeah, he's got back into his rhythm here, George. He is not giving up yet on this win.
His task would be that much easier if he didn't have to worry about Daskalos closing in.
Yeah, and I think Harwood's maybe getting a little bit conservative with his rolling speed through some of these corners. He's got to be careful here. It's not over yet. Daskalos peeks to the inside.
That was a lunge late on the brakes, but not enough of a gap to go for it. This is the top 3 in SRO 3 and the top 3 overall. Harwood, Kurtz, Daskalos, Schultes right behind.
Wetherell's in the shadows as well.
Penalties handed down to cars 27 and 70. That's Daskalos and Schultes drive through for a pass under yellow. That will affect the 3rd and 4th place running cars. That's great news for George Kurtz because that means he can simply focus on offense.
Probably get that note from his pit box to say don't worry about Daskalos, but the key is Daskalos getting that knowledge as well. If he suddenly pushes through, doesn't matter, right? In terms of the positions being reversed afterwards, going to stop Kurtz from having an opportunity. Look how wide Daskalos is there. He's probably going to get a warning from that one. He's done it a couple of times now. Just a drive-through penalty anyway, probably doesn't care.
Just an update on GT4. Lucas continues to lead. It's 1.4 seconds over Schwest, who still is coming under pressure from Elias Sabo. It was 0.2 of a second between those two at the line. Here on the final lap, Jason Harwood trying to keep George Kurtz at bay. George, meanwhile, looking to extend his 3-race winning streak.
Will Jason crack under the pressure? George is right there, looking for the opportunity, just probing, keeping the pressure on right now.
Where can he make the move?
Well, it's tough. I mean, really the key is that corner where Jason had a moment yesterday, turn 7. If George can just roll a little bit more speed through this next corner, don't think he's going to dive to the inside here, but just sit back and just really key on getting the power down that little bit sooner. May have an opportunity into the next brake zone.
Oh, Kurtz is close. He put the power down, and as they crest the hill, he takes a look to the inside. Harwood will crowd him. Kurtz now to the outside. They're mirror to mirror here in the heel of the boot. George Kurtz trying to take the lead back.
Oh, that is awesome. I think there's a little touch there. There's another one. George to the inside now for the brake zone for turn 9.
Rubbing body panels, and George Kurtz goes through to the lead on the final lap. He snags the top spot away from Jason Harwood. Just 2 corners to go. Harwood closes back in. Jason Harwood chasing down George Kurtz, coming to the line. George Kurtz looking to win his 4th straight race and 5th of the season. It will be a drag race to the checkered flag, and George Kurtz comes out on top. by 0.2 of a second.
That was awesome racecraft there by George Kurtz. Poked to the inside, run alongside him into that brake zone and made it stick on the cushion.
No such drama at the front of the GT4 field. It's been a masterclass from young Seth Lucas. He runs 6th overall, leads in GT4 by a healthy margin over Ross Schwest. Made the transition to this single driver format of GT America for this race weekend. He won on debut yesterday, and he'll make it a sweep of the weekend. Seth Lucas wins at Watkins Glen.
Great performance by that young man. Really had tremendous poise here, had a little bit of pressure on the restart, just cut and paste from the start of this race.
Something happened to Elias Sabo on that final lap. He has plummeted down the order, had been running 3rd. Schwest takes it home in 2nd. Radisic comes through to finish with the final step of the podium. Coleman and Putt the top 5. Not sure what happened to the Flying Lizard car. That was challenging for the 2nd spot there on the final lap.
Yeah, certainly Radisic was on the charge there. Now we see Elias come across the start-finish stripe. So I'm not sure if he had a little moment. Maybe Malcolm had to go at him. Let's take a look here. Oh, yeah, it gives him a nudge into the brake zone. Just enough to turn him around.
It's the 2nd day where a good drive from Radisic has gone awry, I suppose. This is perhaps presumptuous on my part, but I suspect that the stewards will have something to say about that. And that would cost him a podium should a penalty be handed down. You have to feel for Elias Sabo, who had driven a really good race.
He had. Marco was just trying to really time his run there through turn 1, got a little bit wrong. Right at that critical point, he's gone to the power just a little bit sooner than Elias. Elias did absolutely nothing wrong, of course, so he's the innocent bystander there, and it cost him dearly in terms of that podium finish.
What do you think? Best drive we've seen out of George Kurtz in his GT3 career?
That was quite the race. I mean, a great job by Jason Harwood in terms of making his move, but then how George timed that move to get alongside him, hold it around the inside, and a little bit of argy-bargy up to the brake zone, right, for turn 9, excuse me, but just excellent racing.
Now, that might have been the difference in a driver approaching a half-decade of experience in GT3 racing compared to one in just his 2nd season.
Absolutely. Experience counts for a lot of this circuit.
George Kurtz prevails in a thrilling duel with Jason Harwood. Mirko Schultes did drive his way up into 3rd, but we do believe there will be a time penalty for both Schultes and Daskalos, as neither served their drive-through penalty, so that could promote Justin Wetherill up onto the podium. But these are the provisional results as they stand. Seth Lucas and Ross Schwest 1 and 2 in GT4. Radisic, for the moment, is the final man on the podium, but could be looked at for that contact on the final lap with Sabo, Coleman, and Putt, along with Newell. Good runs for all of the above. They were 4th, 5th, and 6th on the road, ahead of Bell, Howland, Toledo, and Allegro. And here are those down the order that had some misfortune here today. But PJ Hyatt, you see him all that way down there with the results. He did end up with the CrowdStrike fastest lap. A very impressive 2nd race in the series for PJ. Let's hear from our race winners now with Amanda.
George, your 5th win on the season, and wow. Jason Harwood took you over towards the middle of the race. You did no quit. Talk us through that last lap.
Oh, last lap was incredible. We had he overtook me. I had a lot of clag on the tires just from passing the GT4s, and obviously we had the safety car, so was hoping we'd have enough time to get back. And I saw he had a lot of clag on his tires after the safety car, and I saw him twitching in different turns. So I just wanted to get behind him, and hopefully I knew I was a little faster coming out of 7 into 8, and kind of maneuvered my way around and got it done in 9. It's unbelievable.
Congratulations on the win here today.
Looking at the replays of this duel, it was high commitment for both drivers and pretty clean.
It really was. Little touch there, a couple of touches, but nothing wrong with that. That's what you do on the last lap to win a race.
And you see Jason Harwood there walking around by his car. He's got Ty Isaac, who looks after that team right there. He's in the white shirt holding the headset. Madison Snow there too. His co-driver in Fanatec GT and driver coach. I'm sure Madison will talk him through. And they'll take some lessons away, but it was a great drive from both drivers at the front of the field. Back down to Amanda.
Well, Seth, Ryan Marine in the booth called your debut weekend here a masterclass. How will you summarize it?
It was awesome. Everybody just put their work together, all came to one. pretty simple race. Just cut the pace at one and just kept it all together.
As you continue to get more familiar with this format, what are the goals for yourself?
Just grow the team, get as much track time as possible, see what we can do this season.
Well done, Seth.
Impressive young man. I think we'll be seeing and hearing a whole lot more from him. Got a sense that he was capable of this during the Pirelli GT4 America season, but he has excelled making this switch over to GT America powered by AWS.
Yeah, really great weekend for him to break through like this, and that'll give him a ton of confidence, this Brian Murray's engineer. So they've got a really top-notch team there, good little car, so I don't think this will be their only wins of the season.
No, I think that's probably a good, safe assumption. Great racing, phenomenal weekend here at Watkins Glen. Thanks to everyone who has joined us. Looking forward to what's next for GT America powered by AWS. It's a trip to Nashville, Music City, and the street course there hosting GT America coming up in a few weeks' time. Hope you join us for all the action there. For Amanda and Calvin, I'm Ryan saying so long from Watkins Glen.